Spinning. And we are live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the final episode of Dan-A-Plooza for the August edition. My guest at this time is author Brooklyn Ann. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Now, folks watching and future watching, Brooklyn is an author of a couple of different genres. She has romance, horror genre, and urban fantasy. So those are the genres that she dabbles in. And make sure to check up on her website. That's www.brooklynannauthor.com. That's our little plug segment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, is it a challenge to write in so many different genres as an author, or did you feel it came naturally?
At first, it didn't come quite naturally. Like, I really wanted to write fantasy and I really wanted to write horror. But everything that I wrote, the characters would always fall in love. So I was like, okay, fine, fuck it, I'm a romance author, whatever. And but I also did cross genre even with my romance. My debut series was historical paranormal. So I had first book was called Bite Me Your Grace. That was a joke title I threw out on Twitter, but the publishers liked it. And that was vampires in Regency, England.
Awesome. We have somebody. I'm sorry that your name is not coming up. They are saying hello to you. So I'm not sure it's coming up Facebook user, but hello for watching. Thank you. So how long does it take you to come out with a book? Does it take several months, or do you have stuff already planned?
Some of these I've had in my head for like decades. And then other ones, it's just they've written down for future reference for a couple of years or even just a couple months, and then I get started on it. My publishers, when I get multi-book contracts, that's when I'd have to pull something out of my ass. And on the bright side, most of the time it really worked out. Like for my heavy metal romance series, the publisher wanted me to do a Christmas novella. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a interracial death metal Christmas romance. So that's what I did.
Thank you. It is Layla that is watching. Thank you, Layla.
Hi, Layla.
Watching right now.
She's my friend.
I have coming up in September, Layla on my show. So
looking forward to that
as well. I recently bought one of her books, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Yeah, it'll definitely be a sweet read. So as far as your books, what do you like most about them when people and fans read your books?
Honestly, I like when they pick up some of the more non-traditional aspects that I throw into any series, like my horror romance series. That was back to my how I became, all the characters falling in love and not being able to write horror. I was agonizing about that, and then my boyfriend's like, "Why can't you do both?" So then what I did was I wrote B horror movie tropes. So I got a summer camp slasher and haunted house and a prom themed one, and I decided, instead of the final girl, I'd have a final couple. So I got, the bodies and murder and mayhem everywhere, but, the characters get their happily ever after all that's said and
done. So it's a differently heavenly ever after, but I kind of like that different from the traditional.
And the series was definitely meant to be cheesy for the most part, but in the last book, Her Halloween Party, I had reviewers saying that they were legit scared to turn off their lights, and some of them said they got nightmares. And I was like,
"Oh wow,
yes!" So I'm going to attempt to write just a straight up horror, like shit your pants scary. Really, when I can pull it off.
Need that in the cover. Guaranteed to shit your no.
Right? That would be the best blurb ever.
Exactly. Did you have anybody who was because there have been many other offers before. Did you have anybody like as inspiration, like Stephen King?
Oh
There's
yeah,
Clive
King's
Barker.
definitely a huge influence, and Anne Rice was a big one. Like I fell in love
Oh,
with Anne
there you go.
Rice's work when I was 13. I'm definitely not anywhere near as purple prose as she got, but I still love her rich descriptions, and so I'll definitely get a little Anne Rice purple in some paragraphs.
Do you have a favorite Stephen King book?
It.
Ah.
I've read it 13 times.
Do you feel that the movie justifies the book rendition, or do you
Oh
prefer
no,
the
the
book
book
more?
looks always way better.
Yeah, mine is Christine. That'll always
Oh,
be my
Christine's so much
favorite.
fun.
Yes. The movie is. We'll give credit. The movie is good, but I feel the book is way much better.
The book's superior. The movie didn't do a good job that made it look like the car was haunted, but it
Yeah,
wasn't. I hate to reference Harry Potter, but Christine was a Horcrux. That guy was
yeah.
putting pieces of his soul in the car.
Oh, yeah. Uh,
That wasn't in the movie, though.
no, it wasn't. It definitely would have changed the outlook of the film. Uh,
Hmm.
Layla, Pet Cemetery for her. So that's a good one. That's her favorite Stephen King book.
I got. Oh, wrong direction. My Pet Cemetery
Whoops.
art print. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
It's signed by the artist, too.
Oh, okay. Is
I'm
that
not very
church in
good at
there?
moving my laptop around. This was probably a big mistake. Okay, now we're back stable.
There you go. But yeah, so I definitely think that those are definitely three good ones. With it, Christine, Pet Cemetery. I will also say I like to throw Misery in there as well because I feel like
Misery's a wild ride.
yeah. And I feel like if there's any time to read it because of it being like a pandemic, like now is the time to read it because of the isolation.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I think I did read near the beginning of the pandemic to start a reread.
It's definitely the time. So with your books, would you ever want them to go into a film version, or do you want them to remain just as books?
Funny you mentioned that. So my B horror series, I'm converting the first book, the summer camp slasher, His Final Girl, into a screenplay.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, I'll have to learn how to shop it after I learn how to write it, but I'm on scene 2.
There you go. Do you draw inspiration more from your writing, or do you draw it from other slasher films?
Oh, this was a total love letter to slasher films. Every single one of those books, especially book 4. That one was like a direct tribute to the movie Night of the Demons. That is
Oh
I think that's
yes.
like the ultimate 80s B movie. And there was some tributes to Hell Night and Rose Red in there too. And even a
Very
little one
good.
to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yes, yes, that's a great one as well. I was thinking because usually when people say slasher, I think of Sleepaway Camp. That's usually
Mm-hmm.
one that pops in my head.
I mentioned I had guys wearing short shorts because it takes place in 1979. So, and the socks. I described the whole Sleepaway Camp wardrobe in that book.
There you go. There you go. Um, so other than in film, do you think that it could go even further, like into a television series?
Honestly, my Regency Paranormals I was talking about earlier, that
Mhm.
one would be very good for TV because then it would be like Bridgerton but with vampires.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then my urban fantasy series would be cool, but I don't think anyone would want to spend the money it would take with the effects and whatnot. Like The first 2 books would be easy to do with not too expensive because they mostly take place on Earth, but then that's book 3 is when they go to another world with 2 moons and dragons and all sorts of fun shit.
Yeah. And go back to, because you had mentioned vampires. Is there a certain image of, because vampires have been, portrayed in many different ways. Is there a certain image of that you see the vampire? Do you see it more kind of like the classic, like Dracula and everything, or do you see it more kind of modernized?
Mine are more like the Anne Rice vampires, but they can fuck. And they're also, my vampires are alive. Their vampirism doesn't come from being undead. It's like a magical mutation. So, I mean, they still have to avoid the sun and they still have to drink blood. They can't digest solid food very well, which really pisses them off, some of them. I got one that's a total foodie, but he can only take microbites or they'll have like horrific stomach aches.
Oh yeah, and Layla made a comment: vampires, no sparkles. So
no sparkles.
I agree. I agree with that.
I mean, one thing that author won was we will be talking about that for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
I still don't approve, but I mean, at least she got that going for her.
Definitely. Now, when I think of many different vampires, especially in film, I think of Van Helsing. I think of that Dracula. I think of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I even more on the cheesy side. I even think of the Dracula from Monster Squad.
Oh, I love Monster Squad.
It's such a great movie.
I want that Stephen King Rules t-shirt.
Exactly. I love I like the kid Horace with the shotgun.
Yes.
He's like, my name is Horace, and I every time at that line where he shoots the creature from the Black Lagoon, I just find that great.
And also the classic, Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah. Oh man, it was great. I actually met who was it? I had met somebody from Monster Squad years ago
Awesome.
from the film, and it was cool. And the first thing we talked about was Wolfman got nards. That's the line that we first talked about. But yeah. Do you ever think that they should make a sequel to that or just leave it alone?
I have mixed feelings. Like, as much as I love the concept and it would be amazing to have all those monsters come back,
right?
Leaving it alone might be better. Of course, if they could do, because I don't consider Freddy Krueger to be a slasher. I consider him to be a monster, and I think like Freddy and Pinhead and Chucky and Leprechaun, they're like the more modern day iterations of the Universal monsters. And I mean, the franchises wouldn't probably allow the rights for it to be done. But it'd be cool if there was like an updated Monster Squad with like those monsters.
Definitely.
I don't know how they make that for kids though.
Yeah. Do you and I'm trying to think of let me see. Do you think that as far as going forward, is there like certain monsters that you like to put in your books? Are you more kind of the classical, or do you like to reach for the modern?
I think having a lot of demons in these ones.
Okay.
Like the killer in the summer camp slasher, demon. The haunted house, the ghosts are ruled over by an evil spirit that's more like a non-corporeal demon.
Oh yeah.
Book 3, the villain summons a demon so that she can be prom queen, and then she's got to make sacrifices to it.
Definitely.
Book 4, all of the demons But my problem is I grew up in a haunted house, so ghosts, like, while they're awesome, they're not really
Right.
that scary because they can't actually hurt you.
No.
They can just creep you out.
Yeah.
I would like to do like a monster, like Bigfoot or something, but not Bigfoot, just like a creature of some
Yeah.
sort.
More of a creature monster. Getting more comments kind of blowing up here. Yes on the demons, and then his Scream Queen. So lots of comments coming in right now. So do you collect any kind of like horror memorabilia?
Oh, all of it. All of it. I have so much, but it was boiling hot. And so I'm down in the dining room and not in my office with my big old wall of horror. I have Robert England's autograph. I have two Kane Hodders. I've got Linnea Quigley and
Oh, she's
PJ
awesome.
Souls. I just got a whole wall of horror autographs. And I've got my Freddy action figures and my Blade from Puppet Master, my Lament configuration, and yeah, all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh yeah. And you've met these people. Is there a favorite experience that you've met with meeting these actors, playing these monsters and characters? Is there one that sticks out?
I haven't been able to meet any of them in person. The Robert
Okay.
England I got for either a birthday or Christmas from an uncle. He's the one who gets to go to all the conventions.
Yeah.
So, but I did Amelia Kincaid from Night of the Demons.
Oh yeah.
Accepted my friend request on Facebook, and I was able to get personalized autographs from her. And again, I just cannot go off enough about my love of Night of the Demons. I even named the heroine Amelia. I give all the characters have last names of horror actors or directors. Like book one is Linnea Langenkamp, after Heather Langenkamp, and the hero is Wes Carpenter.
Oh my goodness.
And book four is Guillermo Romero, and Amelia Craven, after Wes Craven again. I gave Wes Craven 2 tributes in this book series.
You might as well, because he's such an amazing one. I mean, some of the movies that you just mentioned from the past directors, they're still loved today, and I think it's all in the storytelling. And I feel like while I love the storytelling, the one thing that kind of sometimes pulls me away is when they make it too much CGI and everything like that. Do you feel like that as well?
Practical effects forever.
Yes. Automatically, normally that pops in my head. They're kind of silly practical effects, but I automatically think of Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, definitely. That one actually creeped me out when I was little, but that was because I was scared of clowns. Because like I was never scared of horror movies most of the time, because I've been watching them since I was 2 years old.
Oh yeah. The part where they're the cotton candy and they're opening.
Yes, the cotton candy with the crazy straw drinking the blood. I was like,
yeah. That, and then I think the first time I laughed at that was when they threw the pies and they killed the officer.
That was always funny.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with those pies, boys?
I gotta rewatch that one.
Yeah, it's a great one. But I kind of liked more of the puppeteering and how films were. Like, I like Gremlins from the 80s than when I see some monster all CGI'd, and
it's just not the same.
Yeah, like I remember I saw the new Leprechaun movie, and it's not to me as good as the one with Warwick Davis. I mean, I still liked it, but
Warwick Davis is iconic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, do you ever kind of add any other kind of characters in your other books? Do you ever go outside the monster realm, like maybe extraterrestrial?
Oh, big time.
Or
the hero of the third book of my heavy metal series, he's basically my fanfic iteration of Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, there you go.
Dio comes up a lot in all my books, like every series possible. And then, like in my Regency one, I had a really fun Twin Peaks reference.
There you
and
go.
where the characters were reading a serialized story about a constable named Cooper
Yeah.
Daleson, and he liked his tea as black as midnight on a moonless night, And somebody messaged me and they're like, "Did you seriously put a Twin Peaks reference in this?" I'm like, "Yes."
I did.
I'm like, "You're the first person who caught it."
Exactly. Do you also include any other kind of classical monsters, like maybe Frankenstein, witches? Do you include those in your books, or have you stayed away from them?
I'm going to have witches just entered the stage in my urban fantasy series, and the next Bride's Prophecy book is going to center around a witch coven.
Oh, there you go. Do you get any inspiration from previous books on witches, or maybe even Macbeth, or do you get any?
I'd like to sort of do, because the plot of the series is that magic is used to exist on Earth, and all the characters with magic got wiped out, or like flat out
Hmm.
parts of Earth got stolen by this evil entity who builds his world by taking parts of other worlds. So they all
Right.
emigrated to this other world and just left Earth. And this evil entity is also the one who created vampires, but he banished them to Earth. For not
Oh
being
no.
evil enough for him. Because having a world without magic is like the worst punishment ever. But my
Oh,
characters are bringing magic back to Earth, and that's activating the powers of the witch covens. Now, I really
there you
liked
go.
the craft, except for I hated that they always did the typical. It happens more in movies than it does in books, where the girls turn against each other. No,
Yeah,
I want them to stay friends and win.
exactly. Yeah, I just I remember that because I mean I loved it when um I believe it's Nancy when she turned evil and the snakes and
Mhm.
everything like that, and I'm like, why are you ruining such a good character?
I know. She could have used that energy on bad guys.
I know. So it's just that's just the way it is. Sometimes they get I think carried away. I think sometimes they rush things. They just like, okay, well we got
Hmm.
to have this and
Yeah,
we're
we
on a
need
budget and
conflict, but then they just go the lazy way with the conflict.
that too, that too. But do you ever see possibly your books like an anthology? Are you ever gonna put them all together?
I have some in digital form that way, where I've got
Okay,
a 3 book box set, even though it's digital, so it's not a real box set, but that's what they still call them.
okay, so that's good. And can people buy your books online, or are they
Yeah,
available in stores, or just online?
they're everywhere online, and then for bookstores, if anyone goes to my website and there's a book they want, you can go to your local bookstore and ask for them to order it for you. And
Okay.
if you're broke, please go to the library and ask them, because then they'll buy my book and it'll be available for everyone. Libraries saved my ass through many years of having no money.
Oh wow, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, some libraries will say no, but most of
Yeah,
them are up for it.
very very cool. Do you tend to sell more books close to around this time of year because we're getting around to October, Halloween, or is it pretty
And
steady?
it's steady. I mean, I got like peaks and valleys.
Okay. Hi, kitty.
He's here. I'm gonna scoop him. Oh no, I'm not. He went out of reach. Sometimes he wants to jump up and be on my lap.
Oh yeah.
And then I get his fur up my nose, and then I start looking like Laura Palmer in Fire Walk with Me.
Oh yeah.
But it's just cat hair. It's not
Yep.
cocaine.
Just tie tie. Um. So, do you ever want to collaborate and do like a book with another author, or you pretty much you want to do
Yes,
solo?
Layla and I are going to do something together.
Okay.
Layla J. Amoros for everyone. Read her books. She writes kick-ass dark
Exactly.
fantasy and dark urban fantasy.
Awesome.
We're gonna do something pants shitting scary for sure. We want to do something horror together because we it was funny. We met at a romance convention and we both immediately started nerding about horror.
Awesome. Very cool. And Layla will be on Dan-A-Plooza in September, so everyone stay tuned and watch that. So
It's awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. So as far as for 2022, do you have any more goals as an author, or are you looking forward to 2023?
I'm looking forward to 2023 and that's
Okay.
when I get the rights back to my horror romance series. See,
Awesome.
the publisher of that series, they're wonderful and they've done so much good for me. But they'd never published horror before, ever.
Oh, wow.
And although I still made it romance, they marketed it more as romance. So the first book, especially, the cover looks like a YA romance. Aside from the
Okay.
Friday the 13th font and the reference to Final Girls, this is called His Final Girl, there's very little to indicate that it's horror. I already have an artist in mind that hopefully I have the money. If I don't, I'll have to do it myself. I do my own covers of all my indie stuff. But I
Oh,
want to
very
do 80s VHS, just total cheesy horror,
Yes.
like blaring from the covers.
That's awesome. Now, are you going to do that like drawing freehand or the computer or?
Photoshop is usually my go-to, but there's a chance where I might paint them. I haven't painted them
Awesome.
forever, but that's if I do those. I said I have an artist in mind who he does a lot of covers for the Bizarro horror author Jeff O'Brien, and those definitely have a B movie quality. So I'm like, yes, I want this guy. His name's Justin T. Coons or C. Coons, Justin Coons.
Okay. Yeah,
Great
definitely.
illustrator.
Let me know, and can always share stuff in the group page about that as well, and keep up to date on that.
Yeah, that's 2023. For 2022, I want to finish the screenplay, write my coming of age horror that my agent wants. So that might get in a big house, but that's going to be really ambitious project.
Cool.
And then I got to do the next book in my urban fantasy series because the readers are like, "Come on, it's been a lot of books." And the final big battle is coming.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Is there anything else you would like to promote or say on Dan-A-Plooza as we wrap it up?
For the fantasy readers and for any Dragonlance fans, my book that just came out on Friday, To Tempt a Sorcerer, that one is like my homage to Rasslin Najir from the Dragonlance books. So if you're a fantasy fan, check that one out.
Definitely. I'd like to thank everyone for watching Dan-A-Plooza, and thank you, Layla, and thank my guest, Brooklyn Ann. Everyone have a good night. Dan-A-Plooza will be back in September 2nd. Take care. Have a good night.